Hi, Bob Mack here for The Interval. This is part 2 of our interview with hip-hop rapper Luke O'Brien. Luke takes us deeper into his inspiration sources, creative processes, making a living as an artist, and the remarkable journey of how his video ended up being featured at Jimmy Buffett's end-of-tour concert in Las Vegas. Keep on watching as we go to Luke O'Brien, part 2. I want to go back to like when music really started to move you. When did you realize that there was something about what you heard that made you stop? Can you remember like the first song that was like meaningful to you as a child or as like a preteen, where you just had to hear that song?
Yeah,
or that
actually,
album or that band?
I do. I do have a specific song, and it's not even really like it doesn't. It's a very unconventional song. You may know it. It's called the Sunscreen Song by Boz Luhrmann. Do you know that song?
Yes.
He's just kind of speaking throughout the track.
It's a big recommendation of all these different things you need to do with your life.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the
class
of
of
19. You know, and he goes on to say, wear sunscreen.
Right.
And he's just dispensing advice the whole time. And yeah, that really stuck with me. And kind of gave me this visceral feeling of like what this guy's saying with the music behind it is so gorgeous too. Like at the end, this woman's voice comes in and it just kind of sweeps you away.
Right.
And I was like, you know, I can remember as a kid like being affected by that song strongly, but really being affected by all music when I was a kid. Like my dad had like a great taste in music and a great CD collection, and yeah, I would you know, like he was really into like Earth, Wind and Fire and like R.L. Burnside and Sting, and he kind of introduced me to like hip hop artists who he liked at the time. Like he had the Mace CD. When Mace had the song that was like bad boys.
Oh yeah.
You make me feel so good. And that's when I was like, whoa, rap music. This is pretty sweet. And like Mo Money, Mo Problems, like that music video where they're all like in the suits that are filled up with air and everything, like him and Biggie and P. Diddy are all rapping on it. And so then I'm like watching that, I'm like, oh, this is such a cool genre. These guys like cypher, you know what I mean? And that's when I learned about like A Tribe Called Quest and like groups that were like really having fun with each other, where it was like this like camaraderie. It was like going out to like skateboard with your friends, but these guys were like going to the studio and just like making music and getting creative. And I was like, I want to do that. And that was why I did create with other people for so long. Like my first one was Luke and John. And then I formed a band in college called A Cool Stick. We started out just doing like acoustic stuff in like coffee shops, and then we evolved into like a 5-piece band, and we really just assembled because there was a battle of the bands at our school, and if you won it, then you got to open up for Citizen Cope at our Palooza, and we won.
Okay.
And we got to open for Citizen Cope, and then that was like, so we're on the quad, like on a big stage,
This
you
is
know what I
college.
mean? In college, yeah.
And where'd you go to school?
Loyola University in Baltimore.
Okay.
And so I kept getting all these tastes of like what music could be, you know what I mean? Being on this big stage, having people listen to my things, having people after shows like, I listen to your stuff, or you know, we listen to this in the car, and I still receive that, and every time I do it, it's like, man, it's so cool that you can, you know, put yourself into that music, share your experiences, and have other people relate. And I think that's like that's what life is about, like the human experience, right? It can be so challenging. It can be so hard to navigate. And when we know that there's people out there who share that, it's like, it's awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah. So one of the things we have about our show is that we're about Philadelphia. So what is your kind of connection to Philadelphia? Are you from around here, or you just happen to like it?
Yeah, I do love it. I do love Philly. I grew up in the suburbs.
If like, you know, the metro areas you're from Philly. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like when I went to
DHL's
school.
your airport.
When I went to college in Baltimore and people were like, where are you from? I wasn't like Phoenixville. I was like, oh, I'm Philly.
Right.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, where in Philly? And I had to be like, well, I'm from Phoenixville. But Phoenixville's a great town too.
For sure.
I'm such a softie, as you can see, which
Right.
is why my music is so positive. But yeah, so I grew up in Phoenixville, love Phoenixville. Went to school in Baltimore, and then my band, we had played pretty much every venue in Baltimore, and we were like, hey, let's try a new city. And so we all, and a couple of us were from this area, so we chose Philly, and we moved up here and started playing all these stages. And I lived in Philly for about 7 years.
Okay. Then you're definitely from Philly. You
Right.
lived in the limits.
I
You earned it.
Yeah. And
Where'd you live in the city?
I lived in an area called Brewery Town.
Sure.
So right on 25th and Girard.
Yeah.
Right across from Girard College, like the Girard College wall. My
North Star Bar
apartment
was
sat right there.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, North Star. And Brewery Town was kind of like it was pretty cool, and it was on the rise, and it was like a lot of new construction. We actually bought a house there and lived in a house that we owned for 2 years until we moved out. But in that 7-year span that I was there, I was working at a school. And I really just took the job because I wanted something that would leave my nights and weekends free, because I wanted to just gig and record and rehearse. And I was actually in another project, which, you know, I'm realizing as we're talking how much I really do love collaborating, because like, yeah, a lot of my career, I was always a part of, you know, a group or something. I was in this group called Ha Ha Yo, which is like this very comedic, like intentionally comedic, over-the-top comedic rap group that me and my friend put together. And we did a lot of really cool stuff with that. To kind of sidetrack for a second, we made this song called Jimmy Buffett. And it was just like, acting a fool because that's how I does it. I think I'm Jimmy Buffett. And Jimmy Buffett's, the Margaritaville marketing team saw it, and they emailed us. They flew us to Las Vegas to host the pre-show pool party. It was insane. Put us up in the MGM Grand for the last show of Jimmy's tour.
Right.
And before the show starts, they bring us backstage, and we go on. It was just like this. We went on the Bing and Bong Show, which is a podcast with Jimmy.
Okay.
So we met him. Me and my friend are sitting there like, this is crazy. Yeah. And he goes on stage and does his show, and in the middle of the show, so we were Ha Ha Yo, and we're from Pennsylvania, and he gives us a shout out but completely butchers it. He goes, the Yo Yo Ha guys are out there, 2 boys from New Jersey who made a song about me. And we're like, that's great, like we don't care.
Right.
And then the show ended, and they played our video on the big screen, like right as he walked off stage, like in the MGM Grand.
That's
and we were like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Acting a fool because that's how I does it. 99 problems, can't think nothing of it. And when I sing my song, the girls, they love it. I think I'm Jimmy Buffett. I think I'm Jimmy Buffett.
And that was when?
That was in like, I was like 24, I think. I'm 35 now, so 11 years ago.
Yeah. 2012.
Yeah,
Like
thank you. I'm not.
So yeah, you've been performing for a long time then.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a while.
Totally.
I mean, you've got tens of thousands of followers on Instagram, Spotify. I mean, your music's found on those venues as well as SoundCloud, YouTube, your own website, you know, Luke O'Brien Music.com, and you know, but you really had also other landmark finds and shares, so to speak. You know, Good Morning America found your song Old Love.
Yeah.
You got over 1.2 million views and likes of that song.
Yeah.
Did that benefit you? Did that benefit you? Did that help you financially in any way, shape, or form?
And that is the key question, right? Like it was certainly beneficial from a optics standpoint, right? Like it's pretty good look as an artist to be on Good Morning America and have it get 1 million views, but financially, no.
Okay. Right.
And that has always been a challenge for me with the music. As you know, I started this photo and video company, and with photo and video, it relates in that it is storytelling.
Right.
But the path to financial return is very clear. It's like I charge you for this service and I deliver a product, and But with the music, for me, and I've never been business savvy. I've always been I just want to make the music, play it. I don't want to think about, charging people for things. I want to give away as much as possible. Yeah, I just couldn't find that way to like consistently bring money back in. I discovered a lot of ways to spend money making music,
Right.
studio time, paying my band for rehearsal time and for gigs, buying the merch, and then when I get off stage, I'm so excited and elated. I'm like, just take the T-shirt, just everyone, So, so to answer your question, no, financially, but yeah, such a confidence boost and such a helped me sort of see my music in a way where it's like, okay, because what I did with that song was not different from songs prior, but it is a very specific thing where I'm sort of creating a very specific story around the song, right? Like I think some songs can just have like an overarching theme that's like this, like generally addressing a feeling or addressing maybe something that's happened, but it's not like, okay, this song Old Love is about me and my wife and the history of our relationship being that we were together in high school and then we grew up and we fell in love and now we're getting married and then we shot the music video. The end of our ceremony at our wedding was the beginning of the music video. So like the social currency of that song was very high, right? Like, and that's why Good Morning America wanted to share it. It's like you go to a party and you say, have you heard of this guy? He turned his wedding ceremony into the music video and blah blah. And so it gains traction from like creating that social currency. So I started thinking about songs in that way, like Dad of the Year.
Right.
That's a very shareable story. This guy made this song called Dad of the Year. It's hilarious. It's super fun. Like they shot it with a bunch of dads holding their beers and their kids. Like it's funny. Coffee was that way.
Love Coffee.
And thinking
Fun
ahead,
song.
yeah, right. Jimmy Buffett was that way. And thinking ahead of like, okay, if I make this song Coffee, then I can take it to La Colombe. And we can shoot a music video that features La Colombe. So now when I share it, I tag La Colombe, and now they're likely to share it.
Right.
And now their audience is going to be like, who's this guy over here that made this cool song, right? And we did that. La Colombe gave us like 2 cases of like iced coffee, canned coffee, and they gave us their bike. Did you watch the video for coffee?
Yeah.
That like cooler bike.
Yes.
And we just rode around Fishtown and handed out coffee, and that was the music video.
Right.
And
so that pizza in return, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I think what that like Good Morning America thing did for me was sort of like give me a new way of approaching music where it's like we can think past the release of the song into like what's the campaign and how are we gonna give it as much legs as possible and still keep it true to ourselves.
You touched on some key things about making a living, so to whatever way you can, and being an artist in the modern time. 100 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, was trying to get into a studio, produce a record or CD, and get distribution. Now everyone is able to produce their own CD-level content, distribute themselves, but then how do you get the audience and getting them to pay for it? And it sounds like you're kind of figuring that out on your own. Where do you see that going? And then also, would that be more of something where it helps everyone develop awareness for you, but you're going to have to make a living by performing? What do you see as the way forward that way, if you were hoping to come do this full time? Yeah.
I think that, like the clear-cut paths to the money for an artist are, or traditionally have been shows, selling a bunch of tickets. I think it's a lot more now about being like, there's this word influencer, right? So like outside of the music, who are you, right? People want to know fully who the artist is. They want to feel like super connected to the artist. So for me, so at one point in my career, like, yes, I'm a musician, but I'm also pretty into like athletics. Like I just ran the New York City Marathon this past November, and I'm at the YMCA, 3 or 4 times a week, and I like to stay in shape for, my own benefit, for my, to be strong for my kids and like mobile, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As I get older, you start to feel that. So like I have that side to me.
No idea.
And I played a little show in Lululemon in King of Prussia when they relocated in the King of Prussia Mall. I did like a little acoustic set for their grand reopening. And their manager loved it, and we built this relationship. I was working at the school in Philadelphia. they started coming down and doing yoga sessions with my students, because it was a therapeutic school for kids with who had a lot of anger and things like that. And so now we're going back and forth. We're building a relationship, and ultimately they made me a brand ambassador.
Okay.
So my audience is like, this is so cool. Like, we love Luke's music, and now he's like an ambassador for this pretty big company, Lululemon.
Sure.
So now I'm getting, again, the optics are really
And they're
good.
paying you to be a brand ambassador? Or are you just getting free gear?
Through gear.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, yeah, that's sort of the trade-off. And then also connecting me, like the network that I was getting plugged into was super valuable.
5 years from now, are you still doing this?
Yeah, I'll always be writing music. Like, I can't, it's just like, I think everybody probably has at least one thing in their life where it's like, that's so much a part of me that I'll never not, And I think music is definitely that for me. I think that taking this little hiatus has been actually helpful, just because I've had a lot of life experience. Like, I'm a dad now, and I have my son. We're having a boy next month. And so, like, I'm growing this family that's like really making me question and growing my business. So I'm like, have to be really intentional with my time these days, and I'm doing a lot of thinking about getting older and what that means, and like, so now I have stuff to write about,
It's been super awesome having you here on the program. As you progress, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
Hope you'd be okay with that.
For sure.
But we're thrilled to have you part of us, and us be part of your career, and we'll look forward to seeing great things, because I know they're going to happen.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was great.
Well, there you have it. We had such a blast during these 2 shows with Luke O'Brien, and I can't wait to see what Luke does next. We will no doubt be seeing a lot more of him, and we will have Luke back on the interval again in the future. Don't forget, please subscribe and like. It really does matter. And until next time, thanks for watching.